Hello, and welcome to True Facts About the Circulatory System, with the Dream Team, Group 4. In this video, we will be going over the major aspects of the circulatory system, including the structure of its main organ, the heart, blood and its components, how circulation works, and disorders that affect some parts of the circulatory system.
This is DJ Eric, and we'll be talking about the structure of the human heart. The structure of the heart is varied in organisms of different phylums and classes of organisms. But to keep things simple, we will be talking about the human heart. As humans are mammals, they have four-chambered hearts, which in evolutionary terms are the most advanced. Only birds also have four-chambered hearts. The chambers, called atria and ventricles, are separated by walls of tissue called septa. This prevents the mixing of blood that is both oxygen-poor and oxygen-rich, like me. The heart is often called a pump. However, it is only the ventricles that are contracting and relaxing, like my voice. The atria only regulate the amount of blood entering the ventricles with a system of valves that we'll go over later. There are also the right and left halves of the heart. The right half deals in pulmonary circulation through the lungs, and the left systemic circulation through the rest of the body. Give me a sec, Karan. Let me draw this stuff out. This is for you, ladies. Right, Karan? Let's talk about the major vessels in proximity of the heart. Oh yeah. The coronary arteries, inferior and superior vena cava, the aorta, the pulmonary artery, and the pulmonary vein are all major vessels in proximity of the heart.
Hello, this is Ben again. Now, the blood that moves away and back to the heart travels through three types of blood vessels: arteries, capillaries, and veins. All three of these blood vessels are made of an outer layer, the tunica adventitia, an inner layer, the tunica media, and an innermost layer, the tunica intima. The arteries are the most elastic blood vessels that transport blood away from the heart. They tend to have a thicker tunica media than both the capillaries and veins, because they are exposed to the full force of the heart's pumping action, and therefore they have the highest blood pressure. The lining of the artery wall withstands this blood pressure. As the arteries travel away from the heart, they branch into arterioles, which are basically smaller versions of arteries, and then finally, capillaries. Capillaries are, simply put, very small branches of arteries that later turn into branches of veins as oxygen-rich blood that flows through becomes oxygen-deprived. Capillaries usually have one-cell-thick walls to allow for easy exchange of substances. Oxygen is transported out of the capillaries and carbon dioxide in. Nutrients and waste products are exchanged similarly. Capillaries also play a part in maintaining homeostasis.
Hey, this is Karan. Veins carry the blood back to the heart. Because of the decrease in blood pressure, they have thinner walls than arteries. To accommodate for the large volume of blood traveling through, they tend to have larger lumens, or cavities. Although veins have thin walls, they can still vary from 0.5 mm to 2 mm in diameter. Also, veins have a system of valves attached to their walls to prevent backflow and to keep blood moving in one direction. When the body is still for an extended period of time, such as on plane flights, these valves become sessile. What ends up happening is that blood coagulates and gives the feeling we commonly call falling asleep. This is also why occasionally exercise is important.
Our journey starts with deoxygenated blood arriving back at the heart from the superior and inferior vena cava. Now give me a second just to draw that. Alright, so the deoxygenated blood flows back into the right atrium, and a tricuspid valve between the right atrium and ventricle opens and closes, controlling the amount of blood rushing into the ventricle. After the ventricle contracts, it pumps the blood through the pulmonary semilunar valve into the pulmonary arteries. The blood then takes a trip through the arteries to the lungs, where the arteries split off into capillaries. Respiration occurs here. Carbon dioxide gets out, oxygen gets in, and the now oxygenated blood is redirected back to the heart via the pulmonary vein.
Hey guys, this is Howard. The pulmonary vein empties its oxygenated blood into the left atrium. A bicuspid valve opens and allows the blood into the left ventricle in a similar manner as a tricuspid valve mentioned earlier. The ventricle then contracts and forces the blood into the largest artery of the body, the aorta. The rest of the arteries all stem from the aorta and serve to transport blood throughout the body. Now we will be talking about the components of blood. First, we will talk about plasma. Plasma is the unsung hero of blood. Though it is about 55% of your blood, it is commonly forgotten. Plasma transports essential nutrients, hormones, and proteins. It also provides a medium for the other blood cells to travel in. Plasma carries water, salt, and enzymes. Plasma also removes waste. Next, let's talk about red blood cells. Red blood cells are large in size and do not contain a nucleus. They typically take up 40% of the blood's volume. They transport oxygen from the lungs to all the living tissues in the body, while also removing the carbon dioxide from them. Red blood cells are constantly being produced in the bone marrow from stem cells at approximately 2 to 3 million cells per second. Oxygen ties to the hemoglobin iron protein group on the red blood cells, and is in this way transported. Now let's talk about white blood cells. White blood cells make a very small part of the blood volume, approximately 1% in healthy people. The role of these cells is to seek and destroy alien protein, whether by marking the bacteria, virus, or fungi for destruction with antibodies, or by engulfing and digesting them in phagocytosis. There are also other white blood cells specialized for memorizing pathogens. Most white blood cells are produced in bone marrow.
Hey, this is Karan, and now we're talking about platelets. Platelets are tiny fragments of cells that circulate around the circulatory system, creating clots in places where blood vessels are damaged. When a blood vessel is damaged, signals are set out to attract platelets. Once platelets find the wound, they stick tentacles that allow the platelets to stick into the wound. Simultaneously, the platelets send out more signals that attract more platelets. In the big picture, they plug the wound.
This is Eric again. Heart attack is basically deprivation of oxygen to a section of the heart due usually to a blocking of blood by buildup of fat deposits, cholesterol, and other substances, collectively called plaque. If the clot is big enough, it can temporarily block a vessel in the heart, causing mild to moderate pain, angina, and ischemia. However, if it is unable to be unstuck, a heart attack occurs. Severe crushing pain occurs and a rupture of a heart is possible. Death occurs in less than 5 minutes unless emergency treatment is applied. Here is what a heart attack might look like.
Hey, what's up? Dude, I just had this. Oh, what the burger? Oh, Jesus. What happened? Oh, I forgot.
Ventricular septal defect is a hole that occurs between the wall that divides left and right ventricles that is present at birth. This defect occurs if something goes wrong with your heart development in the fetus. Normally, oxygen-deprived blood arrives in the right ventricle and is then pumped up to the lungs. Then, oxygen-rich blood passes through the left ventricles. However, with ventricular septal defect, the hole between the left and right ventricle allows for oxygen-deprived blood in the right ventricle to mix with oxygen-rich blood in the left ventricle, causing inefficiency of gas exchange. This must be corrected with surgery, or else.
On that light note, we will move on to a sex-linked genetic disorder. Compared to the sudden and deadly heart attack, hemophilia is less dramatic, though it does involve dramatic bleeding. In hemophilia, certain proteins called coagulating factors are absent from the bloodstream. These factors play a role in the maturation of fibrin, which holds a blood clot together. Hemophilia is most common in two forms. Hemophilia A results from a lack of factors 8. Hemophilia B is also called Christmas disease, named after a patient with the surname Christmas, who happened to be an Englishman. Hemophilia B results from a lack of factor 9. When fibrin fails to materialize, the platelets scatter, resulting in continuous bleeding from even the tiniest cut. This hemorrhaging, however, can be prevented with supplements of the missing factor.
Hey, Howard. What's up? Dude, I finally got a letter from my parents. I haven't talked to them in like 3 years. Damn. Long time. Dude, you got a letter opener? I can open it. Yeah, I got one. Thanks, man. Just gotta open. You alright? Yeah, just some paper cut. That's not good. Oh, crap, you fainted. Oh, wait. Project.
Sickle cell disease is yet another inherited blood disease with defective hemoglobin, the protein that carries oxygen. With sickle cell disease, blood cells are shaped like C's instead of discs, and are stiff and sticky instead of being flexible and smooth. As a result, in the capillaries, sickle-shaped blood cells tend to stack together instead of going through smoothly. These clusters tend to cause blockades, and they stop healthy blood cells from moving about. In addition, sickle-shaped cells can only live up to 10 to 20 days, while healthy cells can live up to 120 days. Sickle-shaped cells also risk being destroyed in the spleen's blood filters.
I'd like to thank the Academy for this wonderful award. Could have done this without you, man. Love you, man. Thank you, thank you. Dude, what the hell?
Whoa! Howard!
Hey,
I might as well finish the job. Here, come on, give me that.
Oh,